You know, Democrats, they called us, right, the party of intolerance, hate, and violence. There wouldn't be a peaceful transfer of power. They convinced the world that President Trump was a threat to democracy, a coup-loving threat to democracy who would destabilize the world. Yet they're the ones disinviting us to holiday dinners, messaging me on social media that I care more about the price of eggs than my daughter's reproductive eggs, and unleashing unhinged primal screams over Trump's win at Lake Michigan. You know, I actually feel sorry for those people. They, like millions of Americans, they were brainwashed by a massive psyop, bigger than what they did to the world during COVID. Newsweek now reporting that a growing number of women are even sterilizing themselves in the wake of Trump's victory. Their delusion, it runs so deep. They actually believed that their installed candidate, Kamala Harris, who is an empty vessel of a woman, devoid of authenticity, unable to form a coherent thought, stood even a chance against President Trump with a proven track record. Could you imagine if Kamala actually won?
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th.
In that video, it looks like Kamala has been unburdened by sobriety. She reminds me of that drunken aunt that corners you in the den. She won't stop talking. You feel bad to say anything to her, so you just kind of nod and you listen and you hope she doesn't start bawling her eyes out that she can't find a decent man. Kamala was never fit to manage the imaginary McDonald's that she pretended to work at. Never mind the border, never mind the greatest country in the world. Trump, on the other hand, look at his track record. Before even stepping foot into the White House, he's already stopping the invasion at the border by pledging to place tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. Mexico's president now saying that she is confident that a tariff war will be averted. Of course it's going to be averted. They're not going to have these tariffs. You know, Mexico's president, she may be a socialist, but she's not stupid. And although the two often go hand in hand, you know, I mean, the so-called experts, they can't stop with their fear-mongering about all of the tariffs. I call it tariff hysteria. Take a listen.
President-elect Trump is threatening to impose tariffs on America's top 3 trading partners. This would massively disrupt businesses and supply chains.
The move could drive up prices for American consumers and disrupt domestic industries.
I think tariffs will increase prices.
I was always astounded, I have to say, that he ran on, I'm going to lower inflation, when if you look at the policies, tariffs included, it's all about raising inflation.
You know, these are probably the same people that thought Kamala could actually win. The United States, what Trump is doing is simply wielding tremendous leverage because everyone knows that we will trump any country in a trade war. Even Trump's threat of a 10% tariff on China in an effort to stop them from sending the deadly fentanyl chemicals that are poisoning Americans in record numbers caused China's yuan to hit record lows, just a threat alone. But Trump's tariff plan, it's not about the money, because you can't put a price on saving lives. Across the country, regardless of the community, fentanyl poisonings are skyrocketing. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying. Yet the Democrats want to say that they care, they're morally superior on their high horse, that they're the party of compassion. Where is their compassion when this toddler showed up at the Texas border all alone?
Venezuela, mamá. Venezuela? ¿Sí? ¿Qué tantos años tienes? ¿Dos años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No?
She's only 2 years old. Border Patrol agents saved her from God only knows what. And then while you and we enjoyed our Thanksgiving with family and friends, Texas border agents, again, they found another child, a little boy, wandering alone in the desert.
Hijo, ¿qué traes? ¿Te dejaron solos? ¿Qué?
No me quieren guiar.
¿Viniste solo? ¿Qué tantos años tienes, mijo?
10.
10 años. ¿Y vienes solo? ¿Sí? ¿Y tu papá y tu mamá?
No, mi mamá no va a estar en Estados Unidos.
It's just heartbreaking. How can the world not see that by sealing the border, we are saving American lives as well as migrant children's lives? An estimated 325,000 migrant children are still missing, and the Biden-Harris regime is still stonewalling efforts to find out even what happened to them. And you remember those Tren de Aragua gang members that took over apartment complexes in Colorado? They're now in 18 states, and 15 of those alleged gang members were just arrested right here in New York City during a major drug trafficking operation. Police say 2 of the suspects, those 2 guys right there, were among those guys that were in the apartment complex terrorizing residents. How much you want to bet that the 15 gang members got here on tax-funded flights? I could go on and on about the dangers of the illegal invasion. If you've watched the show, you know we've been putting a spotlight on it and just how the Biden-Harris regime is destroying our nation. So, folks, the next time your liberal aunt, your cousin, your neighbor, or whomever says, "How could you vote for that man?" you reply back, "How could you not?"